long before Santa Claus and long before Christmas. Christmas wasn't Christmas, it was the winter solstice, when the people in the northern hemisphere who can watch the sun and the days getting shorter and shorter, suddenly in that day the days start becoming longer, and so they celebrate this as like the rebirth of the sun. But to them wasn't just the rebirth of the sun, it was also the rebirth of the spirit.
There are these questions that still remain unanswered. What is the relationship between our electromagnetic field, our physical emanation, and the state of still presence? Or more profoundly or explicitly, what is the relationship between stillness and movement? What is it that makes you get up in the morning and do what you do? What is this Tao, Dharma, will of God, purpose of life? There are 3 stories that may help us to answer these questions. They pose questions in their own right. First is that old saying of one of the great Sufis who said, "When I began my spiritual journey, I learned that which was acceptable to ordinary men, and that which I learned was repentance. And then I moved into the next phase of my spiritual journey, and I learned that which was acceptable to ordinary men and to the elite. And that which I learned was faith and trust in God. And now I've moved into the 3rd phase of my spiritual journey, and I've learned that which is neither acceptable to ordinary men, nor to the elite. And as such, I have become an outcast, a pariah. And that which I have learned is." What is that which we have learned in this place? How would you complete this phrase? And that which I have learned is. On Thursday, a little story was told, a Sufi story, about a wandering wise man who travelled from place to place, village to village, and in those places he was given food by the villagers. And he would often give advice or tell a story. They would also give him perhaps a piece of rag to place on his patchwork cloak. One day he was sitting resting under a tree when a simple man came along and sat down beside him after giving the necessary greetings. And after a while, the master said to the simple man, "Have you eaten? Would you like to share my dates with me?" After which the simple man said to the old wise man, "I have no one. I have nowhere to go. May I share the journey with you?" The old wise man said, I have nothing to give, but you're welcome to stay with me as long as you like. So they travelled very amicably together for some time, and wherever they went, because the wise man was given food, the simple man was given food also. But then one day, as they were walking along the road, the simple man picked up a piece of wood, and he turned to the wise man. He said, Master, I know that you love to whittle with your very sharp knife, and here is a fine piece of wood. What will you make with it? The wise man looked at him and said, Peace, my son. Something will be suggested. Everywhere they went, the people asked, What are you whittling? And the old wise man would give the same response. Something will be suggested. And then one day, when they were sitting at a coffee table, sipping sweet, thick, creamed coffee, and the master was whittling away, the simple man said, You've almost whittled away this piece of wood. What is it that you're making? It had now become an exquisite little round, about as big as a date. The wise man said, Patience, my son. Something will be suggested. And at that very moment, a woman came by carrying a screaming baby with a large basket of fruit on her head, obviously going to market, but she was sweating and agitated, obviously with her child. Just as they were passing, the master rose up and stopped her in her tracks and said, I have something that may help you. And he popped the tiny piece of whittled wood, the size of a date, into the child's mouth. It immediately began to suckle, was quiet and peaceful, and the mother went on her way. The wise man turned to the simple man and said, You see, my son, unbeknownst to me, I was whittling a baby's comforter. In a time long ago, there was an old farmer who every day arose giving thanks for the beauties of life. He toiled in the fields for years and years. Sometimes he reaped a fine harvest, and sometimes there were lean times.